Yeah, I'm not smiling for no thumbnail. All right, guys. Well, I'm here at work, and I'm not sure when the phone calls are going to come in for me to go do some switches, but I'm going to check out this Central Machinery uh, Sonic Cleaner. I picked it up yesterday. By the way, how you doing? All right. All right, that's it. I don't do boxes and junk. Sorry, guys. Box was red, but had to put it down. There we go. All right. So we have a Sonic cleaner. Never used one of these before. So we got a cleaning basket, a cord. Yeah. That almost looks like a computer cord there. So we go ahead and plug this thing in. I always clean parts by hand, but I wanted to try this, so directions. Let's see. Caution. Instructions before each use. Inspect the condition. Make sure there's no loose hardware, damaged cord, disconnect power, and blah blah blah. Okay, how do you? Oh, there's the on button right there. Off button, set, and timer control. Okay, that's all we need. Or temperature control. Okay, we're all set then. So what we're going to try to do today is Brad's front spindles for his race cart are they're pretty gacked up. The bearings are just they're crunchy. They're horrible. This in here is completely locked up. This in here you can move a little bit. We got to press that bearing in just a little bit. We'll go ahead and set those in there. And we got a carburetor. And we're going to take this carburetor apart. It's for a 396cc engine that I've got in the shop. And this carburetor will fit. But I've got to clean the carb first. And it's black nasty. So we're really going to test this. So what we got here is we've got some mean green. We're going to dump us a shoot, I don't know. I don't know no ratios or nothing. We're going to dump us a bunch of mean green in there. And then we're going to dump some hot water in here from the water cooler over there. Instructions, yeah. Those will be burnt later. But we're going to work on these front spindles and throw some hot water in there with the mean green. And this carburetor and see what we can get done with that. So bear with me for a second, guys. I'm going to get a few cups of hot water out of the cooler and we'll pour that in there. And we'll see just how good this Harbor Freight junk is. Well, actually, that's kind of stupid because that coffee can's about empty. Here we go. Whew, that's hot. Alright, let's get us some tools, take apart a carburetor. We'll go ahead and throw the carburetor in there too while we're at it and get that clean. Wow. That carburetor's corroded. We'll go ahead and put the temperature control on, let that heat up. Ow. That screw's about screwed. I don't know if we'll get this carburetor in there or not. I might have to drill this bolt out. There it goes. By the way, what I was doing whenever I tapped the side of the carburetor, what I was actually doing, since this bolt right here was locked up and there's a 2-bolt on the bowl, I was actually rotating the bowl of the carburetor just slightly to break the friction on that screw on that side. Bowl's nasty. And what I'm about to take off now is the anti-flashback arrestor. And a lot of times with lawnmowers, this solenoid goes bad. So your lawnmower will run for a few minutes and it'll die. And a lot of times that solenoid right there on the bottom of that carburetor bowl is bad. And if you just unplug that wiring harness for the bottom of that, it'll run fine most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time that's the issue. Alright, now we want to take the float off the carb and the needle valve and the valve seat. So those are out. And then we'll go ahead and take the 2 intakes off if we can. And we'll pull the bowl gasket. See how intricate that bowl gasket is for this carburetor? There's quite a bit going on there. Now, let's see if I can't pull these out, but I want to put the nuts on before I give them a whack to loosen them up. Sometimes giving a little whack makes a lot of difference on pulling bolts out, but you don't ever want to put a whack on a bolt on just the threads. Put a nut on, Put it about 3/4 of the way down, and then give the nut a whack, and it'll break them loose. It's one of those hillbilly tricks. You got a bad carburetor, bolt stuck or whatever, put the nut on, give it a whack. But you want to whack that nut. Now, this carburetor is pretty dirty inside. Outside is just ridiculous. I mean, this carburetor is probably set 10 years. So we're going to drop it in there. Turn it on. And find the cover wherever I threw that. There it is. And we're going to set it for 8 minutes and let it roll. And we'll see what we got. By the way, those make great carburetor adapters. If you need one, don't ever throw nothing like this away. You could always do something with that. Just like these neoprene O-rings, you don't ever throw parts away if you might be able to use it. But we're going to test this thing out with some simple green and whatever temperature is it at right now. Ooh, I can actually see that simple green getting dirty right now. You can watch the dirt just kind of float away from the parts. It's really cool. So do I have anybody in the live stream yet? I got one viewer and one like. Oh, hey, there's Bat Out of Hell. And Dorito Squirrel, hey, buddy. What's going on? I'm doing a live test on this Harbor Freight harmonic cleaner or sonic cleaner or whatever. And we're going to see just how good this thing does on wheel bearings and stuff like that. But I'm just kind of hanging out at work, waiting on that thing to go through a cleaning cycle. And it's windy. One of my first live streams, so, you know. But I'm just going to see if this is any different or does a better job than cleaning carburetors by hand, because you know how time consuming that is, right? How do you look at chat on this thing? All message. Hey, there we go. All right. But yeah, everybody, if you guys actually join and see this, check out Bat Out of Hell Racing, man. He's got a great channel. And Dorito, of course. You know, can't pass up Dorito. But yeah, I'm just kind of sitting here at work on a Saturday loafing around. You can see all the work trucks and piles of empty barrels and all kinds of junk sitting over there. There's a Silverado. But we're just kind of waiting on that sonic cleaner to clean that carburetor and those bearings, and let's see how they turn out. I want to see if a $60 one of these $60 sonic cleaners is worth buying. Well, it was over 60, but I used a 20% off coupon, so. But we'll see if it's worth doing it, you know. I mean, if it saves me hours of cleaning, then well worth it, because I've spent hours scrubbing on carburetors, trying to get them clean, put them back on. They're still not clean, and yeah, it's a pain in the butt. Well, that 750 Honda Shadow Aero I was working on, I probably had that carburetor on and off a dozen times, and I went through all the orifices and everything else, and Man, I don't know. I used ink pen springs and wire brushes and everything else cleaning out the orifice on that carburetor. I still missed a little spot, and it just didn't run. And the carburetor wound up going to a shop, and they used a sonic cleaner, and they had it about 2 days, and $100 later, the carburetor worked great. And you know, after I'd spent Lord knows how many hours working on that carburetor. So yeah, hopefully this little cheap jewel will work. I might have to run several cycles, but I know this carburetor they got in it right now isn't worth a hoot. I've already had it on the engine. It just, you know, it's junk, and I done cleaned it once, so we'll see how that works. Anyway, I hope everybody's having a great weekend. And again, if you have not, go over to my 200 subscriber video, because I'm going to be giving away a 20 volt impact driver next month. All you got to do is like the video, subscribe, and leave me a comment and let me know that you're interested in the giveaway, and you'll be entered to win a impact driver next month. And I'm kind of leaning towards the 6th of the month when I'm going to do the drawing, but it might be a little before, it might be a little after. Just depends on what I got all going on. I'm pretty busy, so. But whenever I get the time, I'm going to write everybody's name down, cut it out, throw it in a hat, shake it up, and blindfold myself and all that, and we'll do a drawing. And whoever wins, I need to know the your address, and I'll get it shipped to you really quick. And it also comes with the bit set to go 1/4 inch, 3/8, or 1/2 inch impact driver. So you could run your sockets or any socket adapter you've got, and it'll save you a lot of time. And also, if you subscribe to Go Kart Community and Johnny Garage, once they hit 100 subscribers each, we have another giveaway for another impact driver kit. So if you miss out this time, you get a chance next time. All you got to do is subscribe to the Johnny Garage and Go Kart Community, and you'll have another chance. Also, a $50 Harbor Freight gift card for Twisted R Racing, and I believe a 1/2 inch breaker bar. I'm not sure. I got to get with the guy and make sure he's still 100% on it. But there's still a couple of hand tools that's also going to go with the kit for those double 100 subscribers on Johnny Garage and Go Kart Community. So stay tuned for that. Sorry, guys. It's a vice. You know, I know I need to beat it, but yeah. Don't copy me, trust me, not on that. And Bat Out of Hell, I really hope you win one of the impact drivers I got coming up. Because, I mean, you got that new shop, and that'd be a great addition to that shop. And, I mean, man, you know, you help out a lot of people, and, you know, I mean, you really deserve something like that. So I really do hope that you win one or the other. And if you guys haven't already, and you haven't subscribed to Bat Out of Hell Racing, look at him on the chat here and subscribe to his channel as well. He needs some more supporters as well. So I think I just heard the sonic cleaner kick off, so we'll go check on that. Oh, that carburetor looks a lot different. Still pretty nasty. Oh, that bearing right there that was locked up is actually freed up right now. That one there is moving pretty good. Of Carburetor bowl looks a lot better than it did. So we're going to probably run about 4 or 5 cycles. But I'd rather sit back and wait on that thing to cycle through and clean than sit there and do it by hand. I'm already liking that sonic cleaner. I mean, it's not as aggressive as some of them I've heard, but still. And then we've got this. This is one of the front spindles on Brad's cart that's twisted up. And I'm thinking about taking it over to the bench vise here at work and see if I can't take some of that warp out of it right there and on that bottom side. But I don't know how well the phone's going to set up for me working on that. But we'll go ahead and try that. It's kind of this hillbilly stuff, you know. It's what I do to save a bunch of money whenever I build stuff. Let me try to find something. Yeah, that'll work. Try to find something to prop this phone up on so you guys can see the bench vise. I don't know if it's going to be level or not because I don't have no phone clamps or any of that fancy stuff. Let's see. Okay, yeah, you can see the bench vise. There you go. All right. Well, we got this bottom ridge down here on that, and we're going to lock that in the vise, and then we're going to use amples on the vise to try to drive these down and straighten that out. So we'll do that while that's running. Try to straighten out the bottom edge while I'm at it. Lower that down in the vise a little bit more. That's a lot better. Look at that. That's a lot different than what it was. I've still got a little bit of twist to take out of that. And then buff out some of the hammer curls and marks. Yeah, it's pretty straight now. Be a little bit better in the shop where I can heat it up, but it's not bad at all now. This is going on Brad's race cart, by the way. And we're probably going to add a plate on top of this and weld it in just to make sure it's solid. Because there's only so much you can do about straightening this stuff up. But yeah, that straightened out pretty good. Still got a little warp into it, needs to come out. Taking that burr off takes a little bit more structure out of it, so it bends a lot easier. We just got to straighten it out a little bit. See, I got a bow this way, so I want to put it in the bench vise the other way so that I can work on that bow if I need to with a hammer. Let's do a little twist. But yeah, this is what I do at work whenever I'm sitting here waiting on switch calls to come in. I sit there and tinker with stuff like this at work. Alright, there we go. Spindle's straight now. We just got to clean her up a little bit. But this spindle was bent up in like a quarter twist. And we just saved 40 bucks on replacing that spindle. Now we just got to grind this edge here off to take out that hole. And we're going to put a second hole up here for adjustment. But yeah, we pretty much got it done. I just want to take that little bit of rearward flex out of it. But yeah, welcome to my world at work. I'm always doing stuff like this when I'm not moving trailers. And then we'll tap that little bit of warp out of it there. Alright, looks good. Whew! Oh, hey, Justin. I'm working on a bent front spindle on a track cart. Um, this is the wheel mount end, and this is the end that the tie rod goes on. And they had wrecked it at one time, and this tie rod end, or this tie rod mount, had bent up and it had twisted at almost a 45-degree angle. And I was straightening that out so that we could run us a weld bead across the top and reinforce it, and then one across the bottom and reinforce that, so we don't have to buy a whole new set of spindles, or spindle mounts to replace that. And battle to hell. You tell your cousin that I said howdy, and I hope he has a great weekend, and I hope you guys have a whole lot of fun. Yeah, a little bit of redneck refab is what that is. I try to go cheap whenever I build stuff like this, or work on that kind of stuff. And every dollar that I can save is a dollar that I can spend on tools to make the project a little bit easier. And as far as parts, I really don't like throwing a whole bunch of money at a project, just because I'd rather there be a lot more skill involved with every build. I mean, anybody could buy something and throw a bunch of money at it till it's fixed. But not everybody can buy something, or, have something given to them and put $100 in a go-kart and have the whole go-kart rebuild, because a lot of the parts you remanufacture or you adjust to make them work or whatever. And the more money you save on building something, the more tools that you can buy with a saved budget to make the next build easier. And that's what I try to do. I soup up engines for $50, and I get 14 horsepower out of 6.5 horsepower engines with $50. You buy the springs, you buy a $25 carburetor, and then you make your own carb adapter, and you jet it yourself, rip out the governor, use synthetic oil so your rods and everything last longer, even though you're not running billet, and you can still get it to 6,500 RPMs, which can get you up to 12 to 14 horsepower on an engine that you don't have a lot of money in. I shave, port, and polish heads with a file and sandpaper. There's no need for me to go out to take it to a machinist to do something that I could do if I take a little bit of time with a sheet of sandpaper and a round file. And I get better results because I take my sweet time, I pay attention to what I'm doing, instead of trust the machine to do the job that I want done. I trust my hands, my file, and my eyes, and I do it by sight and by feel. And, that's how I do my heads. I do them by feel as opposed to by machine and measurements. And I think I get pretty good results out of what I build. And it doesn't cost me anything. It costs me $10 for the file and $1 or $2 for the sandpaper to port and polish a head. Or I've got a Dremel that I can use too, but I don't trust the Dremel because it takes off too much too fast. But I trust my file and my sandpaper and my eye more than I do what a machinist can do, because if they mess up and their machine's a little off or whatever, it could destroy a head within a half second. But if my hand's a little bit off or my eye's a little bit off, it takes me a half hour to mess up a head. It just, that's just what I've learned, what I do. Uh, Ground seats on. Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah, I like doing my own valve seats and everything on the heads. And honestly, I get better results doing valve seats with toothpaste. You get a lot smoother finish, and they're really polished when you're done. And I do them all by hand, and I just kind of use a business card to check the edge of the valve to see how thick my valve is, and I buff it down with just some toothpaste or some fast orange hand cleaner with a little bit of aluminum powder in it, or some engine assembly lube with some sandpaper grit scraped off a piece of sandpaper mixed in, and I make my own grinding and lapping compound out of that. And I think it's a lot more delicate, and it does a lot smoother job than the stuff you buy. I mean, I've got a couple of tubes sitting over here of the valve lapping compound, and it just does not polish the way toothpaste does. And that's just what I found out. I mean, different people have different results. But, yeah, that's where we're just getting cleaner by the minute. And likewise, they really like this bearing here on this stuff is all bad. You can see it's not even rotating right now. If you rotate that, the bearing is underneath. That's that's good stuff there. Yeah, I never did like valve lapping compound either. It's way too aggressive, and they're trying to get the job done way too quick. And if you're lapping valves, I really don't see any sense in speeding that up. It's kind of ridiculous trying to rush a precision job, and that's always been my thought. If you're lapping valves or milling ahead or anything like that, when you rush it, I mean you're trying to rush through a job that takes time, and you've got to lap the valve for a minute and then check it and see how it looks. And when you're done, it should be a mirror polish, and I've never got that out of lapping compound. Hey, go karts, what's going on, brother? If you guys haven't subscribed, subscribe to Go Karts or Gone Fishing. He's a good man. He's got some great videos out there. Sorry, trying to dodge wind. Hey, horse, how's it going, buddy? Welcome to my world. This is work for me. Hold on. Oh, sorry. I was covering the camera. But I'll let you guys see where I work. Got the work trucks, trailers. There's the truck I run. There's my little office building. Scrap pile, barrels. Every evening I got a bunch of big old deer come down through here too. And welcome everybody to my first live stream. See, there's a scale, a scrap metal barrel that I get a bunch of the metal for my builds right there. But But right over top of that tree line is Old Hickory Lake. I mean, I could throw a rock over the trees and hit the lake. It's pretty cool. I've gone fishing right over there on the other side of the tree line and caught some pretty good fish. I mean, just, right across the tree line from work. Yeah, that sonic cleaner is actually doing pretty good. It's not as quick as some of the big ones that I've seen, but the sonic cleaner is actually doing a really good job. And all I've got is some mean green and some hot water in there, and I'm using the heater in the cleaner, and it's doing pretty good considering I didn't do a pre-clean or soda blast anything or anything like that. But it's already broke loose the seized up bearings in those wheel hubs. So, excuse me. So whenever we put those back on, all I need to do is take them over to the shop and hit them with my bench grinder with the wire brush and buffing wheel, and buff them out, and then it'll be ready for Brad to, go ahead and paint up, prime and paint, and put on his race cart. Which when you guys see that cart frame that was sitting on Brad's porch now, it's impressive because he buffed it down, he sanded it out, he used etching primer, and yeah, I've got some B12 chem dip, and I was going to use it, but the chem dip is kind of aggressive for gaskets, especially whenever you heat it up and use it in a sonic cleaner. So I didn't put the chem dip in it. I just put a degreaser in there to see how that does. And if I need to do a little bit more aggressive, I can do the B12 Chemtrol in there. But I'm just kind of, doing a weak solution right now and see how it does with a weak solution to see how the machine itself does, as opposed to what a stronger solution will do as well. So I'm kind of handicapping the machine to see its potential. Anyway, Brad went and sanded down and buffed that whole cart frame, and he's got the floorboard painted, and he used an etching primer on it. He's got the frame done, and he's doing a Monster Energy green scheme on that cart. He's got most of the stuff he needs for his rear axle set up. He's getting ready to start fiberglassing the seat up to get the seat done, and start mocking up pedals. And he's missing like one rim and one tire and then the tie rods for most of his stuff to get it into a rolling chassis. So it's going to be really cool. And Brad's, he's working on his cart a little bit harder than I am because I got other projects going on too. But I am going to be getting on the drift cart pretty soon. I got the whole engine done, and oh, cool. Yeah, they were worth it, horse. Definitely well worth it. They do a pretty good job. It saves time because you could set it up to clean and walk away from it in your shop and do something else while it's cleaning instead of waste the time of cleaning. So yeah, from what I see, they're worth it. But yeah, I've been waiting on gaskets and stuff to come from that engine because I ruined the sides gasket. And the new Hemis, if you put them together without a gasket, it clamps down on the crankshaft and it locks the engine up so they don't spin that free. And so I had to order me a 20,000 side gasket, and I went ahead and ordered me an aftermarket 10,000 head gasket for the engine too, so I can reduce that combustion chamber a little bit more after I've shaved the head, poured it, polished it, and then shaved the deck down. But that 10,000 head gasket will get me about 10,000 clearance between the piston and the head. So yeah, I should be getting a lot of compression out of the engine when I'm done. Darn it. Ugh. But yeah, those sonic cleaners at Hermit Freight, if you're going to get one, make sure you get a hold of that 20% discount coupon, and it'll save you a lot of money. Um, Mine was 72, and I used the discount, and I got it for like 61 or $62. So yeah, and I'm also thinking about getting one of their abrasive vibrators. Uh, yeah, okay, Sheena, don't be saying nothing about that. But it's a vibrating bowl that you put an abrasive in and put parts in, and it'll sand and polish the parts, and that's like my next thing that I want to get. Oh yeah, yeah, it was raining like the last 3 days here, and what is Saturday night now? So I got tonight and tomorrow night, and then I'm off work for 2 days. But yeah, I don't know. I'll tell you what, it keeps raining like this. I'm gonna be taking a kayak or a boat to work. I mean, this is getting ridiculous. I'm tired of all this rain. I mean, it's windy. You can see the trees over there across the way. They're moving, and look how blue that sky is. You know, there should be. I mean, there's no clouds, nothing like that. And I mean, those trees are just over there swaying. There's probably 10 or 15 mile an hour wind going on right now. It's crazy. All right, so let's go in here and see how much muck is loosened up on this carburetor. Yeah, yeah, no kidding. Yeah, all this rain should have definitely been coming in the spring instead of right now, where we're going to be dealing with all of it in snow. Let me get a roll of paper towels and line some up. Sorry, I should have been really better prepared to do this than what I am. I'm just kind of going by the seat of my pants, you know. All right. Yeah, that jet tube is real clean. It was plugged up earlier. Fuel line is pretty clean. Still has a little bit of trash in it. Yeah, it's loose though. Look at that. Look at that big plug of trash that just fell out of there. Can you see that? Big old chunk of trash that just fell out of that fuel line when I tapped it. And you see all that just fell out? And then get it up there. All that right there just fell out of that fuel line when I tapped it. Heck yeah, man. That would have been like drilling out concrete, and now that fuel line's clean as a bell. I mean, clean as a whistle all the way through. All the orifices going up into the carburetor, all three of those are clean. I mean, it's not getting a whole lot off the sides, but it's loose. I mean, if I hit that with a toothbrush, I mean, all that trash would come off of that. I mean, that's loose as can be right there. That little bit of scraping just got that off. Oh, that just come off just that easy. All the jets look really clear on that. It's just mostly the caked on stuff on the outside that's still on there. But I imagine one or two more cycles, that's going to start coming off. Or I can hit that with a toothbrush and take that off. Alright, let's look at this spindle here. It's still got corrosion marks on it. But the bearings, I mean, the bearings are just mint. I mean, that bearing just spins with your fingertip. So does this one. And the holes in the bearing holes are just, I mean, they're clean. Let's try the other one. Oh, look at that. Wow. I bet you if I put a mild acid in there, it would really clean that up. And then the outer bearing's clean. The wheel seat's clean. All the studs are cleaned off on the bolts. And jam my finger in that bearing, and I mean, it's not crunchy. It spins real easy now. Same with the inside thing. It spins real easy. I don't believe we're going to have to replace those spindles. Shoot 2 or 3 more cycles and I probably won't have to touch nothing. But you see how clean that is? That's amazing. That was up against the side, so I believe it gets more vibration when it touches the metal casing. And then, oop, we're going to wipe this out in just a second so there's not as much like loose trash in there. That's a carburetor bowl. And look inside of there. I mean, it's stained, but it's really clean. And that was full of rust and corrosion. I'm liking this cleaner. But if I bet you if I took the simple green out and put some like vinegar in there, the vinegar, the acid in the vinegar would do a lot more. And that's, well, this is cycle number 3 is what that is. That's cycle number 3 that I'm just starting right now. What do we got here? Let's check the chats. Turns 50 next year. Oh, yeah, it ought to. You might be able to replace the steering gears in that old Cub Cadet. I had a 1972 Craftsman riding lawnmower that I gave away at the beginning of this summer. And the steering box, I changed the gears out in it. And I went and rebuilt the carburetor. And it ran a mode like a brand new lawnmower, you know. But you might be able to get a hold of probably, I would say, Twisted R, Doug, or Lonesome. One of those 3 guys there, or maybe even Fan 1701, because one of those guys might have the gears or a replacement steering gearbox he could throw on there. But I'd be checking with those guys, see what they got. But you can't beat those, old mowers like that. They run forever. All the parts were, solid steel and cast iron instead of plastic. So they lasted a lot longer. Oh man. And this sonic cleaner is quiet. It's one of the built-in copy discs. It's a built-in gear setup. Um, well, you might try locating a rack and pinion box out of a small golf cart and switch it over to rack and pinion. And whenever you go with your steering shaft, you might have to, angle it down and then put a steering knuckle at the bottom and then go from gear to gear and then go from gear to the rack and pinion system to replace it all. But if everything else solid, it's probably going to be worth fixing. But that might be another option you could look into as a rack and pinion box or a steering dampener. Oh, okay. All right. So the steering box is actually easily replaced then. It's just relocating a suitable replacement. But yeah, I mean, if you can find a steering box, you could always figure out a way to adapt it over too, which is what I do a lot of the times as well. Is I find what I can, and then once I get what I can get, I kind of work and adapt it over to what fits and make it fit. All right. Well, anyway, guys, I'm not going to waste too much of your time, so I guess we'll call it a day, and we'll see y'all later. And y'all take care, and you have a blessed weekend. And maybe we'll see you again in the holler.